Welcome back to Celeb where we unpack the stories the industry hopes you overlook. Now, let's get into it. People were minding their business when a new video hit the internet and instantly set the whole scene buzzing. Out of nowhere, Daz Dillinger dropped a clip that he says came straight from Snoop Dogg himself. And the moment it surfaced, everyone stopped like, hold up, what is going on now? It didn't look good for Snoop at all. And just like that, another chapter of their long, messy tension exploded in public again. This isn't some fresh disagreement either. The strain between Snoop and Daz has been brewing for years, but lately it's gotten louder, sharper, and way more personal. And according to Daz, this latest clip is only a tiny piece of a much bigger problem that's been growing even when the cameras are off.
Hey, so months go by, I go there in July, I still don't know about the trademarks and all that. I do the work, they smiling all on my face like, yeah. But knowing behind my back, the niggas wouldn't try to trademark my. So I find out in July that Christy Lucy from Death Row, an attorney over there, trademarked the Dog Pound DPG. So I hear Snoop and say, "What's up with your lawyer?" I ain't cussing mine.
Everything jumped off about 5 days ago when Daz released the first video in this new wave of drama. In that clip, he called Snoop Snoop Knight, a direct comparison to some old school tactics people still whisper about today. That name alone made the internet freeze because it hinted at something deeper, a level of frustration Daz clearly held in for years but couldn't swallow anymore.
I trademarked the paw. Because I drew the paw in 1991. Daz Dillinger. I drew that paw 1991 and I've had it ever since.
Okay, so you own everything. So that's all your stuff. Now you were saying something about the paw. Now what are you talking about with the paw?
Well, like I was saying, the paw is trademarked.
And when Snoop bought Death Row Records, he didn't just grab the spotlight. He inherited all the history, all the promises, all the contracts, and all the unfinished business tied to that legacy. That includes everything tied to Daz, the whole Dog Pound brand, and every agreement that should have been settled decades ago.
Like I told Snoop, you got rejected and I got accepted. You know what I'm saying? So that was the moneymaker. The paw is like the Apple sign, like I said before. And like I said, they tried to go behind my back and trademark all my work and then flum my face like, yeah, we got it. That's all we wanted because we're finna sell everything for $1 billion to Universal.
At first, things actually looked positive, especially when Daz publicly thanked Snoop earlier this year for helping track down money he was owed and finally putting it in his hands. For a moment, people thought the two had finally buried the drama and found real peace. But that calm didn't last long.
Go hard or nothing. I just found out that y'all tried to trademark the Dog Pound, and that's how I know. Me, yeah, nigga, I did it. And, being tough and shit. That's what he wanted. You know what I'm saying? So, all hell break loose. He do a show, he don't take me, take everybody else. Like, yeah, I ain't with Dad and all the shit. For what? Because I asked you about my trademark that you tried to go behind my back and steal my. But the reason why I never trademarked the Dog Pound because the Cleveland Browns own the name.
In this new video, Daz says the real issues, royalties, old paperwork, long-standing contracts, still haven't been handled right. Even after thinking everything was fixed, he made it clear some major loose ends are still being ignored, and he sounds completely done staying silent about it. You can hear the frustration dripping through every word. Then Daz dropped the part that blew the whole situation wide open. He claimed Snoop tried to trademark the dog pound logo behind his back. According to Daz, he created that logo in his house roughly 30 or 40 years ago, and he believes he's the rightful owner, period. So when he says Snoop allegedly tried to lock down that trademark without even speaking to him first, the internet immediately started raising eyebrows. Daz also says that once the trademark attempt didn't go Snoop's way, Snoop suddenly stopped calling, stopped checking in, stopped bringing him around, like someone flipped a switch. And for Daz, that shift felt way too sudden and way too strategic. He spelled it out clearly, with a tone that needed no translation. The energy between them changed instantly, and fans could feel it just from the way he spoke.
The dog pound, but they spell it D-A-W-G. You know what I mean? And they have it trademarked for their football. So that was the confusion over all the 30 years of doing business with the first Death Row, tonight, but doing business with them, Reggie Wright, doing the business with them. They try to steal the shit too, but it could never happen because the Cleveland Brown owned the name of Dog Pound. Not the way that we spelled it, but it's confusion is what they said on there. So when I hear Snoop and said, why did y'all try to trademark the Dog Pound?
Right now, Daz says he and Snoop are moving on two totally different paths. He believes Snoop is focused on building a long-term vision for Death Row. Something big, something strategic, something he wants to keep growing long after he steps away from it. And because of that, Daz feels like he's being pushed out of the picture while Snoop moves forward with plans that don't seem to include him at all. This whole situation is getting louder, messier, and way more complicated, and this is just the beginning. People are looking at Snoop Dogg now and realizing he's not trying to sit in a CEO chair forever. The man is in his 60s. Running Death Row day after day isn't part of his long-term blueprint anymore. What is part of that plan, though, is understanding the power behind the Death Row brand and the kind of doors it could still open if the right person finally organizes it.
You know what I mean? But shh, don't be selling my shit.
Now, what do you mean by selling? He said he was going to sell it, or what? They're selling Death Row, the new Death Row that just came?
Snoop, everything Snoop is involved with, he gonna sell all that shit for $1 billion. You know, cash it out for their catalog, and then he sell that shit, and he just start over and make new music. You know, it's easy. You sell what you got.
Snoop seems to know exactly what Death Row could become if someone cleaned it up, handled the contracts, and ran it like a real modern company instead of a chaotic relic from the 90s. From the outside, it looks like he stepped in with a mission: fix the paperwork, tighten the structure, bring the pieces together, and prepare the label for something bigger down the line.
You know what I'm saying? They got all that money. I mean, I'm counting pockets, but I got my own pocket. You know what I mean?
Now, how many albums is over there? At Death Row? Because you were saying that it was the Doggy Style, and it was two other ones you was talking about?
Yeah, you know, the shit that I got on the wall right here, you know what I'm saying?
Whether that means expanding it or eventually selling it, nobody knows for sure. But the vibe is strong. It feels like he's lining everything up for a major move. And one thing about Snoop, he understands the power of his name. He probably felt like he was the only person who could walk into rooms where old bridges were burned and still bring folks together without the drama. Unlike Suge, who burned almost every bridge he ever had, Snoop still has solid relationships across the industry, which makes him the perfect person to rebuild the Death Row structure without creating fresh problems. So picture Snoop thinking, let's lock down the trademarks, clean up the catalog, update the contracts, and finally bring every artist into the same room.
You know what I'm saying? But the Death Row stuff from Gamma on up, not from the past. I'm talking about Gamma on up, you know what I'm saying? From 22 on up. Just like he said, I'm gonna give everybody back to the publisher. You lie. You ain't paid nobody since day one. You trying to starve niggas out, but you can't starve me out. You can starve them other niggas But everybody complaining over there. I just want what's mine, you know what I'm saying?
Now, you haven't got paid for any of your stuff, or how does that work? They just able to take it and it just becomes theirs,
I mean,
or?
you know, that bankruptcy.
He probably wanted Death Row to stand on stable ground for the first time ever, lined up for new albums, films, documentaries, and anything else that could bring the legacy back in a huge way. On paper, it sounds clean, but this is exactly where everything turns messy. Daz believes Death Row is worth way more than what the industry realistically sees, and that belief is fueling the whole fire. In one of his recent videos, he said he thinks Snoop is going to sell Death Row for $1 billion and leave everybody else out of the deal. That number made people stop in their tracks, because nothing about the company today suggests it's anywhere near that kind of value.
Snoop bought this, you know what I'm saying, go from 10 now, from 22 now, got to pay us. And right now they in there trying to change all the percentages. I don't know what the they doing and say, here, this is what we owe you. You can't just come up with a number and all the other type of shit. The split, I mean, y'all doing this split.
But Daz is fully convinced $1 billion payday is coming. And because of that, he's holding on to the pieces of the brand he controls like they're gold bars locked in a vault. He refuses to budge. He doesn't want to sign anything, approve anything, or cooperate with any plan unless it matches the $1 billion vision he already sees in his head. To him, anything smaller feels disrespectful, even if the offers are solid and realistic by industry standards. So imagine Snoop offering him something clean like, here's $100,000, let's settle the trademark. To most people, that sounds like a fair business move. But to Daz, it feels like a lowball because he truly believes Death Row is headed toward that $1 billion finish line someday. So he's gripping tight to the little piece he owns, refusing to move, refusing to collaborate, refusing to join the bigger plan, because he's expecting a payout that just isn't real. The truth is, according to people who actually know the business, that $1 billion number is nowhere near reality. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. But unless Daz accepts that, this standoff between him and Snoop is only going to stretch longer, get louder, and get even more complicated. Daz has already said straight up that the Tupac catalog is pure treasure, and the Dr. Dre material is the kind of music that never loses value. Everybody knows those two catalogs are the real diamonds in the Death Row vault. So the question everyone's asking is simple. What exactly does Daz think is out there that would push Death Row to $1 billion? Even with all the legacy, the math just doesn't stretch that far, and people are starting to wonder why he keeps hammering that number so hard. Because beyond the Dog Pound logo drama, Daz is still convinced that Snoop and Death Row owe him real money, and he's not backing off that belief anytime soon. Daz believes something in the paperwork just isn't adding up, and he's not letting it slide. He thinks the percentages Snoop is using don't match the real earnings, and that's where his frustration hits a whole new level. When Snoop bought Death Row out of bankruptcy, he inherited everything. The contracts, the splits, the percentages, the dusty old paperwork, the whole chaotic mess left behind from years of wild management. But here's the real problem. All that paperwork was originally created under Suge Knight, and everyone who lived through that era knows Suge's business reputation was anything but clean. That alone makes Daz believe the numbers can't be trusted. From his perspective, if Suge was the person handling the splits, then there's no way those books were ever accurate in the first place. Daz says they shouldn't be using those old percentages for anything in 2025, because according to him, Suge wasn't the type to give anyone their fair cut. So now he's demanding a full audit, new numbers, new splits, new math, because he believes the entire foundation is crooked. Daz is convinced the paperwork on file is a watered-down version of what people were really owed back then. He thinks Suge adjusted the numbers to make himself look organized, while quietly reducing how much he owed artists, producers, and everyone else tied to the label. So when Snoop uses those old documents as the blueprint today, Daz feels like the same unfair system is happening all over again, just with a different person behind the desk. This disagreement over old numbers, missing money, and questionable percentages has become the heart of the entire battle between Snoop and Daz. It's not just about loyalty or history anymore. This is about paperwork, trust, ownership, and money that Daz believes never landed in the right hands. And when someone feels the system already failed them once, they're going to be extra loud the moment it looks like it's happening again. And just when everyone thought things were already messy, Lupe stepped into the conversation after staying quiet his entire career. That alone shook the room and made people wonder what else is about to surface next. Snoop Dogg has spent decades staying far away from the kind of reputation that followed Diddy and Suge Knight. That old image of signing folks into twisted contracts, locking them into unfair deals, and playing with people's pockets. Snoop was never known for that. He built a brand on respect, teamwork, and staying cool with just about everyone. That's why this entire situation cut so deep for him. So when Snoop saw Daz online hinting that he was acting like a thief, blocking business, and sabotaging the rise of the new death row, he took that straight to heart. He's been rebuilding that label with pride, and hearing Daz throw dirt on his name was something he refused to let slide. Snoop recorded a direct video message to Daz, letting him know he wasn't ignoring the accusations and wasn't about to sit back while his character got dragged. But instead of keeping it private, Daz leaked the video the moment he received it, turning a private disagreement into a full-blown public firestorm. And that's when everything blew up online. The moment Daz posted his response, he hit the internet with, "He mad now. Now he wanna hit me business-wise by trying to take everything I built on death row with 4 signatures and no royalties." That one line had the whole timeline frozen, like, oh, this just got real. Daz didn't stop there either. He said the label used royalty money to pay staff members who were making more than the artists themselves, which had people raising their eyebrows instantly. He reminded everyone that he had already taken legal action against Suge before, and hinted he might do it again because, according to him, the publishing paperwork is still under his name. From his point of view, nothing can change in those files unless someone tries to force it, and he made it clear he's not letting anyone force anything without a fight. Daz stood firm, saying he can't be starved out, pushed out, or silenced because he's independent and controls his own lane. The way he said it made it obvious he wasn't backing down, no matter how big the name on the other side is. Then things got even louder when former death row artist SKG jumped in and publicly showed support for Daz. She posted on her page saying she's watched Snoop and Daz clash for years, and even revealed that Daz once blocked her just for speaking to Snoop. That little detail only added more fuel to the fire, because it showed the tension didn't just start yesterday. But even with that history, SKG still defended him. She wrote that Daz is smart and has every right to question his contracts, publishing, and percentages, because this industry loves keeping artists confused about their own business. She said too many people get hypnotized by fame, then get mad later when somebody finally starts asking real questions about where the money actually went. SKG explained she learned early in her career, way back when she helped bring Corrupt back to death row, that this industry will use people until there's absolutely nothing left to take. Her message added a whole new layer to the situation, turning what started as a private dispute into a full-blown conversation about fairness, ownership, and the way artists have been treated for decades. This clash keeps getting deeper, louder, and way more personal, and every time someone new speaks up, the whole story shifts again. SKG ended her message by saying a lot of folks want you to support their goals, then turn around and act like you never helped them level up at all. She said the real mission in this business is ownership, legacy, and long-term stability. But not everyone thinks that way, because some people get too caught up chasing social media attention instead of locking in on their future. Her words hit deep because they matched what so many artists have quietly experienced behind the scenes. Now here's where things get tricky. Nobody on the outside truly knows who owes who, who's right, or who's wrong, because nobody has the real paperwork in front of them. And if Snoop really is using the old documents Suge Knight created, then yes. Those numbers absolutely need to be checked, rechecked, and checked again to make sure the foundation is solid. Everybody knows Suge wasn't exactly famous for clean bookkeeping, so anything tied to those old splits should be reviewed with fresh eyes. That part makes sense. But even with all that being true, there's still a line you never cross. And leaking a private video from your own cousin is absolutely one of those lines. A move like that doesn't just expose an argument, it reshapes how the entire world sees the person on the other end. Right now, Snoop Dogg is viewed as everybody's favorite uncle, the calm, funny, laid-back legend who can cook with Martha Stewart one day and hit the biggest stages the next. He's walked a long road from the younger version of himself who once stood in a courtroom fighting for his life. And he rebuilt his image into one of the most trusted and beloved figures in entertainment. That transformation took decades. So releasing a personal video of him speaking in frustration has the power to crack that image instantly. It shows a side of him most people never see, and it might make the public question pieces of his personality they never even thought about before. When I saw that video myself, it threw me off. It didn't match the version of Snoop the world grew up loving. It felt intense, unexpected, like a peek into a moment that was never meant for public eyes. And that's what makes everything feel heavier, because if someone is truly your family, you don't try to shift the world's view of them in a negative way. You don't take a private moment full of raw emotion and turn it into entertainment for the internet. Some conversations are meant for a room, a phone call, or a quiet space where people can cool off and talk like humans. Doing it publicly only makes the wound deeper and pushes both sides farther apart. At the end of the day, if you're family, real family, there are certain lines you just don't cross, no matter how frustrated you are or how long the disagreement has been going on. And right now, that's the part everyone is questioning the most. One thing everybody can agree on is this. If something is meant to stay private, you keep it private. No leaked conversations, no leaked messages, no leaked videos, none of that. Moves like that twist the whole situation and create cracks that are hard to repair, family or not. But now it's your turn to sound off. Do you think Snoop actually owes Daz more money? Should he stick with the numbers already on record? Or does Death Row need a full audit to clean up the past once and for all? This situation is wild, and I want to hear how you see it. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share this video with someone who follows the drama, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss what comes next. This story is far from over, and it's only getting more intense from here. I'll catch you in the next one, and make sure you click the video on your screen for more non-stop celebrity drama.